Thank you very much. It is marvelous to be here. Wonderful to be back in Budapest, the beating heart of European conservatism. We all know that Hungary has been ahead of the curve on the failures of liberalism and the existential need to return to tradition. Even many prominent liberals are beginning to understand that, and we will discuss that in a moment. But Hungary has led the way. In fact, Hungary is so conservative that it was actually the first country to translate my book, Reasons to Vote for Democrats. It was relatively easy because the book doesn't have any words in it, but they put out a copy anyway. It is called Miért itt szavazunk a libernyakokra. My Hungarian needs a little work. You're too kind. I think you're flattering my Hungarian. On so many political issues, Hungarians have understood the existential challenges that we face earlier and more deeply than just about anyone else. Mass migration, population decline, family collapse, sexual ideology, religious indifference, the erasure of nations. I could go on and on. I am not alone among American conservatives in my gratitude to Hungary for sounding the alarm on so many of these important issues. I would not fly halfway around the world were it only for the goulash, which is very good, by the way. I love the goulash, but Hungary has offered so much more. Your perspicacity has sounded an alarm throughout the West, and I am happy to see the alarm has been heard. This, it seems to me, is the biggest change this year. Were this event taking place 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even last year, we would all feel the pressing need to convince the people of the West that all these threats exist, that we have to face them. Today, there is no need. The people have been convinced. President Trump won the popular vote. He won not only the election, which would be significant enough in itself, he is the first Republican to win the popular vote in 20 years. And he did not win by hiding the ball. He campaigned specifically on all of these once contentious issues: migration, gender ideology, even population collapse, when you consider the fact that this man campaigned with arguably the most prominent pro-natalist in the world. He ran on all of the issues that you Hungarians have been called threats to democracy for highlighting. And our democracy sent him back to the White House, with massive support, by the way, from every constituency. Just this week, the New York Times reported that 1,433 counties in the United States, that is nearly half of all American counties, are triple trend counties for Republicans. That means that they have moved further and further to the right in each of the last 3 elections. By contrast, just 57 counties are triple trend for Democrats. When you plot those data points on a map, the Democrats disappear. It is a sea of Republican red. It's good news. It's very good news. Now, from the European perspective, the clearest proof that the people have been convinced is the UK's Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. Just a few months ago, you might have seen, Prime Minister Starmer was denying on camera the very existence of a distinctly English people. In a podcast interview just a week or so ago, he contradicted that. He said, no less a liberal than he admitted that mass migration risks turning the UK into an island of strangers. Who is this man? Where did this man come from? He's been reading too many Hungarian books, I think. Even the globalist liberals are becoming immigration restrictionists. Even they are admitting that Hungary was right, that more broadly, the conservatives were right. At a more fundamental level, in philosophy and religion, the liberal fads of the past half-century no longer persuade most people. Once fashionable atheism is now passé. The decades-long decline of Christian identity, in the United States at least, has leveled off. The gods of the copybook headings have returned. It is as if a spell has been broken. We conservatives no longer need to convince the various populations of the West that liberalism has failed, that its policies pose an existential threat to our civilization and that we must change course immediately if we wish to survive. The people know we won the argument. Now we face a more difficult challenge. I took the opportunity on the flight over here to revisit a Western classic, which speaks, I think, to this moment. I had already reread Mierti Tsavatsonka Libernia Kokra, so that was a quick read, and I decided to turn my attention to another classic. This would be the Aeneid, Book 6. In Book 6, Aeneas asks the Sibyl to help him down to the underworld to visit his father. And the Sibyl basically laughs at him. She says, "Born of the blood of gods, Anchises, son, man of Troy, the descent to the underworld is easy. Night and day, the gates of shadowy death stand open wide. But to retrace your steps, to climb back to the upper air, there the struggle, there the labor lies." This is no revolutionary insight. This is really just common sense. We know that it's easy to destroy and hard to build. We have destroyed much of our civilization. We have defaced our edifices. We've forsaken our posterity. We've betrayed our God. Not only have we done all of these things, most people know that we've done them. Most people, I think, miss the beauty that we've disfigured. Most people regret the children we've lost, the many millions killed by abortion, of course, but also the countless more who were never conceived because of contraception and the selfish sterility that has bankrupted our welfare states and justified throwing open our borders. Most people ultimately, I think, long for the God they presumed to replace, without whom neither our private lives nor our political communities can have any coherent meaning at all. Most people realize we've taken a wrong turn and that the path we're on is literally killing us. To retrace our steps from the precipice of death, to climb back to the upper air, there the struggle, there the labor lies. And Hungary has helped lead the way. Not only in your rejection of mass migration, not only in your famous family policy, but all the way down to your constitution, which plainly states, we recognize the role of Christianity in preserving nationhood. Just as the soul is the substantial form of the body, so Christianity is the animating force and unifying principle that distinguishes our civilization. And likewise, the body of our civilization is our people's. If you lose either your body or your soul, you cannot expect to live for very long. People throughout the West seem finally to have recognized how far down the path to destruction we've gone. And I think they've recognized something else. I think they've recognized that we can actually do something about it. There was a news story this week that 8 abortion mills are shutting down in the United States. The reason? President Trump cut their funding. It's that simple. The liberals can wax poetic about the supposedly fundamental right to infanticide or whatever they like. They can accuse the popularly elected president of subverting democracy by giving the voters what they want. But who cares? Who cares what they think? We can just do it. We can just do things. We are not powerless. We can overturn dumb court decisions. We can deport criminals. We can enforce our borders. We can distinguish men from women, encourage marriage, discourage perversion, and promote public religion. It is possible. We can even make our ugly modern buildings beautiful again. This is somewhere that Hungary has truly led the way. I walk around Budapest. I say, wow, where did these beautiful buildings come from? My Hungarian friends tell me, oh, that was built last year. That was built 2 years ago. They were ugly for too many decades, so we just fixed them. You can do it. We're not stuck with ugliness. We're not stuck with decay. The liberals will whine and cry and rend their garments, and they'll call us radicals. But who cares? Not one of those initiatives is radical. They're all perfectly normal. That's what's so radical about them, is they're normal, and we haven't seen normal in a long time. Those are just the things that our forebears have done for all of history, when our civilization still had strength and life. For too long, the people of the West have rendered themselves impotent, as if there were no way under heaven to subvert the supposed science of history and stop the march toward progress, as if we had no say over our governments or even our private lives. Why? I think it's a failure of imagination and courage and ultimately faith. Finally, we are seeing signs that the trance is lifted. Our forebears were able to have the goods that serve civilization, and we can have them too. If some modern ideology impels us to deny those goods, then that modern ideology can go to hell, because I don't want to, and I don't want my country to go there either, and I don't want my civilization to go there either. At long last, people throughout the West have looked around and seen how close we are to destruction. But we have been in the light, in the upper air before. We can still see our footprints, and we can retrace our steps. Thank you to Hungary for helping to show the way back, and God bless all of us in that struggle and labor back to the upper air. Thank you very much.